The succession to Muhammad in 632 led the Muslims to be split into two camps. The Sunnis, who believed that the caliphs of the Islamic community should be chosen by a council, as in Saqifa, while a second group, the Shia, who believed that Muhammad had named his successor to be Ali ibn Abi Talib, his cousin and son-in-law. Today there are differences in religious practice and jurisprudence, traditions and customs between Shia and Sunni Muslims. Although all Muslim groups consider the Quran to be divine, Sunni and Shia have different opinions on hadith. In recent years, the relations between the Shias and the Sunnis have been increasingly marked by conflict. The aftermath of the 1979 Iranian Revolution, which reconfigured Iran into a theocratic Islamic republic governed by high-ranking Shia clerics, had far-reaching consequences across the Muslim world. The Iraq War further influenced regional power dynamics, solidifying Shias as the predominant force in Iraq. Iran's ascent as a regional power in the Middle East, along with shifts in politics and demographics in Lebanon favoring Shia, has heightened Sunni concerns about their Sunni Arab hegemony. Recent years have witnessed the Iran-Saudi Arabia proxy conflict, as well as sectarian violence from Pakistan to Yemen, which became a major element of friction throughout the Middle East and South Asia. Tensions between communities have intensified during power struggles, such as the Shia-led Bahraini uprising, the Iraqi Civil War, the 2013 to 2017 war in Iraq against ISIS, as well as the Sunni-led Syrian Civil War. The self-styled Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, launched a persecution of Shias. While the exact numbers are subject to debate, the Shia comprise around 10 to 13% of the world's Muslims, and Sunnis 87 to 90%. Sunnis are a majority in most Muslim communities around the world. Shia make up the majority of the citizen population in Iran, Iraq, and Azerbaijan, as well as being a minority in Bahrain, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Yemen, Nigeria, Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, Chad, Turkey, and Kuwait. Sunni Muslims are the vast majority of Muslims in most Muslim communities in Central Asia, including China, Europe, including Russia and the Balkans, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, the Arab world, Turkey, and among Muslims in the United States. Shia Muslims make up approximately 10 to 13% of the world Muslim population. Within Shia Islam, about 85% are Twelver. And within Twelver Shia, the overwhelming majority follow the Usuli school of jurisprudence. In Iran, an officially Shia country since 1501, around 90 to 95% of Muslims are Shia. 65 to 85% of Muslims in Azerbaijan are Shia. Shia, mostly of the 185% Zaydi sect, form a large minority, 35 to 45% of the population in Yemen. About 10% of Turkey's population belong to the Alevi sect of Shi'i Islam. The Shia constitute around 30% of Kuwaiti citizens, 42% of the Muslim population in Bahrain, 22 in Lebanon, 10% of Saudi Arabia, 10% of Syria, and 10% of Pakistan. Around 10% of Afghanistan, less than 5% of the Muslims in Nigeria, and around 5% of population of Tajikistan are Shia. 24. India has as many Shia, potentially, as there are in Iraq. 26. 27 scholar Vali Nasser has said that numbers and percentages of Sunni and Shia populations are not exact, because in much of the Middle East it is not convenient to have exact numbers. For ruling regimes in particular, the Mahdi is the prophesied redeemer of Islam. While Shia and Sunnis differ on the nature of the Mahdi, many members of both groups 28 believe that the Mahdi will appear at the end of the world to bring about a perfect and just Islamic society. In Shia Islam, the Mahdi symbol has developed into a powerful and central religious idea. 29 Twelvers believe the Mahdi will be Muhammad al-Mahdi, the 12th Imam returned from the occultation, where he has been hidden by Allah since 874. Mainstream Sunnis' beliefs are somewhat different. The Mahdi forms an important component of Sunni eschatology. his appearance being considered the last of the minor signs of the Day of Judgment before its major signs. They believe the Mahdi will be a descendant of Muhammad named Muhammad and will revive the faith. Hadith edit. The Shia accept some of the same hadiths of Muhammad used by Sunnis as part of the Sunnah and the basis of divine law and religious practice. In addition, they consider the sayings of Ahl al-Bayt that are not attributed directly to Muhammad as hadiths. Shia do not accept many Sunni hadiths unless they are also recorded in Shia sources or the methodology of how they were recorded can be proven. Some Sunni accepted hadiths, for example by Aisha or Abu Huraira, are less favored by Shia. Aisha's opposed Ali and Abu Huraira is considered an enemy of Ali, and according to Shia, only a Muslim for 4 years of his life before Muhammad's death. Although he accompanied Muhammad for only 4 years, he managed to record 10 times as many hadiths as Abu Bakr and Ali each. 30. Sufism, edit Shi'ism. And Sufism are said to share a number of hallmarks: belief in an inner meaning to the Quran, special status for some mortals, saints for Sufi, imams for Shia, as well as veneration of Ali and Muhammad's family. 31. Pillars of Faith, edit the 5 pillars of Islam, Arabic Arkan al-Islam, is the term given to the 5 duties incumbent on every Muslim and are held by both Sunni and Shia. These duties are Shahada, profession of faith, Salat, prayers, Zakat, giving of alms, Psalm, fasting, specifically during Ramadan, and Hajj, pilgrimage to Mecca. In addition, Shia theology has 2 concepts that define religion as a whole. These are roots of religion, usul al-din, and branches of religion, furu al-din. When prostrating during Salah, Shia place their forehead onto a piece of naturally occurring material, most often a clay tablet, mohar or soil, turba, instead of directly onto a prayer rug. There are 5 Salat prayers at different times of the day, but unlike Sunni, some Shia combine 2 sets of the prayers, 1 plus 2 plus 2, i.e. Fajr on its own, Dhuhr with Asr and Maghrib with Isha, praying 5 times per day but with a very small break in between the prayer, instead of 5 prayers with some gap between them as required by Sunni schools of law. 14. Shia and the followers of the Sunni Maliki school hold their hands at their sides during prayer, while Sunnis of other schools cross their arms, right over left, and clasp their hands. It is commonly held by Sunni scholars, especially of the Maliki school, that either is acceptable. Muta and Misyar edit C. Also Islamic marital practices. The Twelver branch of Shia Islam, the Quran permits nikah mut'ah 40-41, fixed term temporary marriage. The practice is not allowed within the Sunni community, nor within the Ismaili Shia or the Zaydi Shia, who consider it planned and agreed fornication rather than marriage. These schools believe that muta was permitted until Umar forbade it during his rule. Muta is not the same as mishar marriage or arfi marriage, which has no date of expiration and is permitted by some Sunnis. A misyar marriage differs from a conventional Islamic marriage in that the man does not have financial responsibility of the woman by her own free will. The man can divorce the woman whenever he wants to in a misyar marriage. 42. Hijab and dress edit C. Also, Islam and clothing. Both Sunni and Shia women wear the hijab. Devout women of the Shia traditionally wear black, as do some Sunni women in the Persian Gulf. Some Shia religious leaders also wear a black robe. Mainstream Shia and Sunni women wear the hijab differently. Some Sunni scholars emphasize covering of all body, including the face in public, whereas some scholars exclude the face from hijab. Shia believe that the hijab must cover around the perimeter of the face and up to the chin. Like Sunnis, some Shia women, such as those in Iran and Iraq, use their hand to hold the black chador in order to cover their faces when in public. Given names edit Muslims are often named after famous early Muslims, so that given names of Shia are often derived from the names of al-Bayt. In particular, the names Fatima, Zainab, Ali, Abbas, Hassan, and Hussein are disproportionately common among Shia, while Umar, Uthman, Abu Bakr, Aisha are very common among Sunnis but very rare among Shia. 44. Pilgrimages. Edit. The pilgrimage to Mecca, known as Hajj, is one of the pillars of Islam for both Sunnis and Shiites. But Shia have many other holy sites they make pilgrimages, ziyarat, to. Among them are Al-Baqi Cemetery near Medina, 45 Najaf and Karbala in Iraq, and Qom and Mashhad in Iran. The origin of Shia Islam arose in response to the succession to Muhammad, and whether Ali ibn Abi Talib or a more experienced member of the Quraysh tribe should succeed. The concept of Shi'ism further crystallized around events at the Battle of Karbala, 680 CE, where Hussein ibn Ali, the son of Ali and grandson of Muhammad, was killed alongside many of his supporters. Thus, a political split became a far more personal one, marked by blood feud and a cause for further divergence. Even so, by the 13th to 14th century, Sunni and Shia practices remained highly intertwined, and figures today commonly associated with Shia Islam, such as Ali and Jafar al-Sadiq, played an influential role for Muslims. The Umayyads were overthrown in 750 by a new dynasty, the Abbasids. The first Abbasid caliph, As-Safai, recruited Shia support in his campaign against the Umayyads by emphasizing his blood relationship to Muhammad's household through descent from his uncle, Abbas ibn Abd al-Muttalib. 49. The Shia also believed that he promised them that the caliphate, or at least religious authority, would be vested in the Shia imam. Isafa assumed both the temporal and religious mantle of caliph. He continued the Umayyad dynastic practice of succession, and his brother al-Mansur succeeded him in 754. Jafar al-Sadiq, the sixth Shia imam, died during al-Mansur's reign, and there were claims that he was murdered on the orders of the caliph. However, Abbasid persecution of Islamic scholars was not restricted to the Shia. Abu Hanifa, for example, was imprisoned by al-Mansur and tortured. Shia sources further claim that by the orders of the 10th Abbasid caliph, al-Mutawakkil, the tomb of the third imam, Hussein ibn Ali in Karbala, was completely demolished. And Shia were sometimes beheaded in groups, buried alive, or even placed alive within the walls of government buildings still under construction. 52. The Shia believed that their community continued to live for the most part in hiding and followed their religious life secretly without external manifestations. 1919 to 1979, edit. At least one scholar sees the period from the collapse of the Ottoman Empire through the decline of Arab nationalism as a time of relative unity and harmony between traditionalist Sunni and Shia Muslims. A unity brought on by a feeling of being under siege from a common threat, i.e. secularism, first of the European colonial variety and the Arab nationalist. An example of Sunni-Shia cooperation was the Khilafat Movement, which swept South Asia following the defeat of the Ottoman Empire, the seat of the Caliphate in World War I. Shia scholars came to the Caliphate's defense by attending the 1931 Caliphate Conference in Jerusalem. This was despite the fact that theologically Shia held that imams, not caliphs, were the successors to Muhammad, and that the Caliphate was the flagship institution of Sunni, not Shia, authority. This has been described as unity of traditionalists in the face of the twin threats of secularism and colonialism. 6. That does not mean, however, that there was no friction at all. The Ottoman Empire had projected itself as a guardian of Sunni Islam. This had started in part during the 16th century in conflict with the Safavid Empire, which had shaped itself around its Shi'i identity. After the fall of the Safavids, this self-identification of the Ottoman Empire had faltered a little since there was no immediate Shi'i threat. The later 19th century, under the reign of Sultan Abdul Hamid II, the Sunni Islamic character of the empire was again mobilized as a nationalist identity. 80. In this context, conversations and polemical debates between Shi'i and Sunni thinkers took place on the topic of taqrib, sometimes called Islamic ecumenism, took place. 81. These discussions centered around the topic of each other's legitimacy and saw the participation of many in the Islamic intellectual and political sphere. These discussions included contributions of the Azhari Sheikh Mustafa al-Maraghi, Rashid Rida, and Abd al-Hussein Sharaf al-Din al-Musawi, and reached its peak with Mahmud Shaltut's fatwa later in the 20th century. The early 20th century also saw the partition of the former Ottoman regions into new colonial protectorates, or semi-independent nation-states. This meant that sects, madhabs, and denominations were administered differently in regions that had previously been under a more unified system. In some regions, like Lebanon for example, sectarian came to play an important role in state formation. This meant that on an administrative level, there was official recognition of the Shi'is and the establishment of a Jafari court in which Shi'is of the region could follow their own legal traditions, whereas in the Ottoman period they had to follow, at least in name, the Hanafi school. Although Sunni and Shia sectarian identities on a religious and administrative level seemed to diverge during the period after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, personal identification with either creed played a more ambiguous role. The recognition of a Jafari legal court, Shia, in Lebanon, led Shi'is in other parts of the Balad al-Sham to reconsider the validity of their marriages, since they might have married in a Hanafi court, Sunni. So, even though discussions on this topic on the level of the ulama make it seem like there are apparent boundaries between Sunnism and Shi'ism, sectarian identification, at the beginning of the 20th century, was not as immediately apparent. In 1938, Allama Muhammad Taqi Qummi traveled to Cairo for the purpose of rebuilding strengthening Islamic unity at Al-Azhar University. His efforts, including connecting with scholars such as Mahmud Shaltut and Sayyid Hossein Boroujerdi, led to the founding of Dar al-Taghrib, Community for Reforming Unity between Sunni and Shia Muslims. 85. Another example of unity was a fatwa issued by the rector of Al-Azhar University, Mahmud Shaltut, recognizing Shia Islamic law as the fifth school of Islamic law. In 1959, Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the most influential center of Sunni learning, authorized the teaching of courses of Shia jurisprudence as part of its curriculum. The leader of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, saw the revolution as an Islamic, not a Shi'i Islamic revolution. His revolution was, he hoped, just the first and would spread throughout the Muslim world, with Iran serving as the base for a global Islamic movement. And himself as the leader, just as Lenin and Trotsky had hoped the Bolshevik Revolution would be only the first communist revolution. The year of the revolution was one of great ecumenical discourse, and shared enthusiasm by both Shia and Sunni Islamists. Khomeini endeavored to bridge the gap between Shias and Sunnis by declaring it permissible for Twelvers to pray behind Sunni imams and by forbidding criticizing the caliphs who preceded Ali, an issue that had caused much animosity between the two groups. He focused on issues that united Muslims: anti-imperialism, anti-Zionism, anti-Americanism, and the battle against outsiders, rather than religious questions that were likely to divide them. In addition, Khomeini designated the period of Muhammad's birthday celebrations from the 12th to the 17th of Rabi al-Awwal as the Islamic Unity Week, there being a gap in the dates of when Shias and Sunnis celebrate Muhammad's birthday. 90. Outbreak of sectarianism edit Sunni-Shia unity did not last long after the Iranian Revolution, and strife between the two sects took a major upturn, the Shia awakening and its instrumentalization by Iran as leading to a very violent Sunni reaction, starting first in Pakistan before spreading to the rest of the Muslim world without necessarily being as violent. 91. As of 2008, Azerbaijan is probably the only country where there are still mixed mosques and Shia and Sunnis pray together. 91. Discord manifested itself in major and minor ways, from bombings that killed thousands to cultural changes. Among the immediate causes of the violence were the Islamic Revolution in Iran and the 2003 American military intervention in Iraq.